What's up, guys? Uh, Welcome to a special episode of Healthy Believable Matters. And it is Love Day. And that means there's a lot to talk about in what is portrayed out there and how we as a culture may perceive it and what have you. So far, I've been looking at movies on this series. But today I'm going to take a little bit of a detour. And I've been thinking about the television shows that are out right now that look at relationships or romance in a nuanced or complex or what have you way. And a couple weeks ago I finally watched Nobody Wants This. And I think it's the best show to look at on the 14th. So yeah, I want to do a transition over to TV for a little bit, and that's what I'm going to do. So let's roll. Is this relationship healthy? Yes. Yes, it is. And it is healthy in almost every way, with just a couple little question marks. So I'm going to give healthy a blue. Debated giving it purple for a little bit, but because in terms of the pace of it, the attraction, the care, the attempted understanding, the pace of, especially in modern culture, the pace of becoming a boyfriend, girlfriend, or meeting the families, or what have you, that pace feels authentic of how it should be without being too rushed or what have you. But with just a tiny, tiny question mark of how soon it is between when our main relationship between Noah and Joanne starts and the dissolution of Noah's relationship with Rebecca. And I think it's heavily implied that he wasn't really with it for a while with her. But you can also see the elements in which he is not 100% past the... Not that he still has feelings for her anymore, which I don't think he does. And this doesn't dock the relationship severely. But the fact that the first incident is that, he hadn't told Joanne that he was nearly engaged or what have you. And he still has all the routines of the camp that they go to in episode 5, which I'm willing to bet is something he probably did with Rebecca a lot, or I'm sure the basketball tournament that all of the boos of the team are at once it gets to the playoffs, and it's so little time has passed that you can see the issues in these areas in which like the speed is like, it feels like Noah just snapped his fingers and replaced Rebecca with Joanne. And on one hand, I like the telling that when it comes to affection and love, it can come at any time. And it can come without us really knowing it, and when it does come, and when you feel it, like, embrace it. But at the same time, it's like he still has the box of her stuff, and he hasn't like returned that. Or it's like people in the comments like poke me as to whether you feel this is true or not, because the rest of their dynamic and well, I'll get to that in believability, but it's like I do think it is a healthy portrayal of what it is like for a religious culture to come up against atheistic, agnostic, or non-religious culture. And I like the end, that once it's like on some level the sister's right, that she is giving away things of herself and sort of enmeshing herself more in his world than the other way around, and then finally like realizes that she has to stand up for her boundaries in herself, and that's the moment when it's the wake-up call or the curtain call. And I kind of like that, at least in the season 1, it's left ambiguous, but and the pace in which it does get there does feel earned, but the reason it took so long to get there is because I think Noah still has an idea of what a long-term routine is going to look like, or something of that regard. So in terms of the pace, the different families, the pace of the growth of the relationship, the just general dialogue and authenticity of it, like yes, it does feel healthy, but not completely, because of how soon it is after he was newly engaged, and that leads into the believability, which I would say green, because as aforementioned, the pace of the relationship feels authentic. The religious portion of the couple versus an irreligious portion. The conflicts that do arise from that dynamic, but I do think that as characters, I believe that Joanne feels slightly more believable than Noah, and I'll explain why. Joanne's fears, explained by parents' divorce, the fact that the mom is still in love with the dad, the fact that, like, I can't remember if it's ever explained that has she ever had a serious relationship? I'm not sure, but the fears that come about from her and the reticence of that, but also the desire to sort of involve herself with Noah's world and wanting this because she's wanted it so badly for so long, and so much of it is healthy. All of that does feel very believable, as does, and on Noah's side, the sort of conflicts that do arise from his fears of how the religious aspect is going to fly with both his family and his career as a rabbi. But where I do question it is outside of those more external elements of conflicts, it also does feel that it almost every marker Noah seems to know exactly what to say to Joanne to calm her down, or to reassure, or what have you, to the point that sometimes it feels like he's reading her mind. And not that there are not people there that can do that, but a part of me feels like it's the script telling us just the words. Because yes, he's a rabbi, and I think he listens to a lot of families and couples and hears their issues and probably knows on some level the psychology of what to say and what have you. And he's been in a 3-year relationship. I think it says it's 3. So he probably knows on some level the, markers of what to do. But even if we're like doing a metaphor for like, characters who listen to other characters, like Ted Lasso or Shrinking or what have you, it's like these characters that seem to like pre-understand a person's issues, you then often find out that like there's some issue in themselves that they aren't handling well, or that they'll do something and like make real mistakes, not in like the external trying to figure things out, but in just the listening and dialogue and what have you. And on that level, it almost feels like no one ever makes a mistake. And this is where it goes into the matter section, which I'd also say green, because I would want to try to be like Noah. I don't know if I could be, though, because I don't know if it's possible to get all of those markers right, like, at all. Because as humans, we're bound to, like, mishear something or misunderstand something, and then you have to deal with that once you do. And, like, I definitely classify myself as an overthinker, and I think sometimes in my relationships in the past, I've gotten in trouble when I'm trying to be a Noah and trying to just like, oh, I totally get it, like this is exactly what's going on. And then like sometimes it's like if you come with that energy, it's like really bad if you get it wrong. So I can see a scenario where people may watch the show, and if they try to emulate Noah, they're just gonna screw up. Whereas on the Joanne side, that feels like an extremely genuine pace in which both someone who's had a messy childhood and someone who has a messy past in terms of relationships is both trying to both maybe change too fast, but also be real in what they need in their first real one. So, does it matter in terms of portraying the religious aspect? Does it matter in terms of some of the postmodern elements, like she's a podcaster? Yeah, that's how it works today. Like getting past the ick, which is that's such a contentious topic in today's age, and showing that one can get past it. The fact that that you're still going to bump up against misunderstandings in terms of like what the misunderstanding of the sister in episode 9, and and the end, that I think is true, that like if someone says don't come after me, I think you should, at least initially. But there are certain moments in which Noah kind of feels more of an ideal than an actual character. Not all the time, but in some areas. And for that reason, both the believability and does it matter, like, have to say green as opposed to like blue or something. But I still think it is good to show a relationship like that in the world. It seems like the pace is real, the conflicts related to the original religious aspects are real, the choice that it lands with, it's like, is it going to be what you need or what the relationship needs? Put up or shut up? Yes. So, still green, yes, absolutely. But a couple of elements there that could have used some tweaking, maybe. Let me know if that feels accurate in the comments. And this finishes my sort of sprint of videos in the lead up to Love Day, so happy Love Day, everybody. And keep on watching content, but always watch it with your brain turned on, because there's a lot of nuances that exist in the real world. Next videos will be a bit. I'm probably not going to release a video every day over the next days or weeks. But still more coming out, still a lot of Oscar movies. I may change it up and do some other societal elements, but yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all have a good one.